Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and I'm joined by regular co-host Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Ben. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Not really everybody. I saw him today.
This guy's crazy. He's so sarcastic and silly. But today we are joined by a very, very special guest. Joey Oliveira is a scriptwriter, comic writer, letterer, and publisher at Afterlight Comics with titles such as Ghost Island, Stay Awake, Wendigo Wood, and Slasher Royale to his name, amongst many more, of course. Welcome to the show, Joey. Hello.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. It's been a long time a listener of the show, so it's great to finally.
Oh wow, yeah, amazing.
We've been meaning to have you on for so long as well, Joe. I know we bump into each other. We never quite get the timing sorted, but I think it's all come together nicely this time. And what a great contrast, talking about one of the horriblest blokes in horror with one of the nicest ones.
Oh, yeah. Buttering him up, comparing him to...
True story, Ben. How dare you?
Well, no, of course it's true. I'm just saying, buttering up by comparing him to
the collector.
I was going to say
famous horrible collector.
I was going to say a mass murderer, but that's not true, is it? He just collects people.
Well, I guess a lot of people did die. Would you claim those as accidents, though? If he just put the traps there, is that like Bart Simpson swinging his fist and saying, if you happen to get punched?
Yeah. Well, he is a bad man, isn't he? But yeah, so we're going to talk about The Collector today, a film we've not covered before, but I think we've mentioned it a few times to cover. A choice of yours, Joey. Is it a big favorite of yours, this one?
Yeah, it's like a guilty pleasure kind of movie. You know, there's not much. It's like a tense, cool atmosphere to it, atmospheric horror. I love those kind of movies where you can just get engrossed in them, and there's not like a massive plot to follow, or people getting yapping away. You just need.
Not with a bloody yapping. What's that? Scorsese, what are you doing with 3.5 hours worth of yapping? We just want a man in a house.
It's a great concept, and executed well. I think in the constraints that it is in a house.
It does get compared to Saw quite a lot, and you've mentioned that you're a big fan of that franchise as well.
It's the writers as well as of some of the Saw films, I believe, as well.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that. So maybe 5, 6, and something else, possibly.
Some of them, yeah. And I think it takes a bit of the Saw filming style as well, like the quick cuts, doesn't it? And
the quick cuts, the color scheme. Some of these shots are like proper drenched in red or blue or green.
Very grungy.
So, yeah.
And it doesn't back away from the gore either, right? It's not a quick cut away. Oh no, they're dead now. There they are, off panel, dead. It's very much you walk into a room, there's a cat glued to a floor. You walk into another room, there's someone pierced on a spike. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
A cat glued to a floor.
Real thing that happens. Didn't make it up.
It's like one of those horror houses experiences that you walk into. Can you imagine that if that was in there? A cat glued to a floor, and then the cat gets sliced in half. Wait, is it just? It's not just glued to a floor. It's like acid glued to a floor.
Special acid glue. Yeah.
Where'd you even get that?
I feel like the cat jumped onto the floor though. So again, it wasn't the collector's fault.
He loves cats. He loves cats. He's dead against.
That's his one regret.
He's dead against animal cruelty. Of course, we will be getting into the film. We'll do a deep dive very soon. I thought it'd be best to talk about Afterlight Comics first, though,
yes.
Joey, because obviously you've had loads and loads of titles out under the Afterlight Comics umbrella and a Kickstarter. I was going to say enthusiast, but that's not the right word. Expert, keeping Kickstarter afloat. And then obviously the Clash of the Cryptids recently funded on Kickstarter, and you're going back to the platform for a new title soon. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah. So we funded about, I think, maybe 7 or 8 Kickstarters this year, all comics, and luckily everyone came out and backed them, so they've all been fulfilled and sent out, and people are thankfully enjoying them, so that's good.
Amazing.
And the next Kickstarter coming up is like we had a lot of people coming to our table at conventions who pick up our card game called Clash of the Cryptids. Clash of the Cryptids was originally a card game, and it's like you battle out these folklore creatures like Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and fight them against each other. People are using them as like encounter cards for D&D sessions. So then I went away and started developing this like create your own D&D campaign kind of shuffle a deck. It's got encounter cards in with like Slavic, British, and American folklore. People in like Baba Yaga, and it's got like opening acts and like twist cards as well. So every campaign will be different for like if you're like a dungeon master or you want to make your own stories. So that's coming up next week. So that's good. And yeah, next year is like fully packed with Kickstarters. I've scheduled the year out, and I was working out, and it's like a Kickstarter every 3 weeks. So
oh wow! So you schedule it like a year ahead, a year in advance.
So like there's 14 projects like either done or completed. Sorry, in progress right now. It's like way ahead of time. And
so how do you like balance like the writing and like the hiring artists and everything else that goes alongside that within the Kickstarter camp? That must be like absolutely tons of work.
Yeah. So because we work with different artists, obviously each series, once I finish a script, I can have that artist work on that.
I see.
I finish the next
script,
and thankfully, we're at a stage where, the Kickstarter's always getting funded. So we kind of got like that kind of, that backup, like
the freedom
we can invest ahead, with the stories.
Oh wow, man.
So,
good rotation. So your schedule of a normal week must look like, right, this day writing, tomorrow like doing some meetings with artists, and then lots of trips to the post office, I guess, because we see the response we get. I mean, I've been lucky enough to see you live at a few conventions. I think we first met many years ago, your very first one at MCM in Birmingham, right? When you were there with your first book on the table, your girlfriend at the time, who is now your wife. Your first issue of, was it Ghost Island was first, right?
Ghost Island,
yeah. So first issue of Ghost Island on that table, and then I think last time I saw you at a convention, I think you had Clash of the Cryptids was there with you, the card game, and the crowd around that table. I had to wave from you from across the thing, like, "Hey, how's it going?" Wow. So popular. I know, like, I think people really, really have taken to it. And rightly so. Like, it's a lot of fun. But it's really nice to see the popularity, and I guess that translates to the online as well. People seem to be taking an interest in it, hence the expansion.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why we're kind of like expanding with like this new D&D deck, and I've actually I've prototyped and produced like a fully fledged like board game now. This is going to be like the big daddy like project for 2024, and that's I'm hoping to have like the prototype and then going to like board games conventions next year.
I was about to say you're going to be expanding out to board game conventions as well.
Yeah. So got a big one booked for. There's one in Birmingham, UK Games Expo. So I'm going to be there and hopefully have this prototype, so people can have a go of it and then build the buzz for the, so obviously Kickstarter campaigns for board games are a different beast entirely. So, and it's, I've set the target though for having it ready by then. So the artwork is like done. So
a totally new IP as well for that. Is that something based on your previous work, or is this something?
Yeah, so it's going to tie into like cryptids, and it's like a dungeon kind of game, and every game that you play is going to be different. It's got like like role play elements, so you with friends and you can talk to them what decisions you're going to make to get out of the dungeon and stuff like that. So it's
cool. That sounds great. And like, I think board gaming is going from strength to strength currently as well, right? I'm not sure whether, I know it was pre-lockdowns that people were starting to get back into board games, but I feel that has accelerated things even further. And I have several friends now who are so into, especially independent board games as well. I think there's a real love for, this isn't something that you can go and buy at the shop. I think there's almost a competitive nature of being into a thing before it has like retail distribution, and you actually backed it and you've supported a new idea rather than something that is being mass produced already. So I think there's a huge interest in those things. Excited to see it.
Yeah, cheers. Well, it's gonna be like like really not too simple, but you don't have to read a whole friggin' manual, and stop the game. What do we do here? It's like everyone can pick up, and it's built for me basically.
Yeah.
Other people like me that aren't like board game heavy, but if some friends come around one day, you can all just jump on it and play.
Take you a few minutes to work out what you're doing, then you can just go. Not right, everyone sit and watch this video.
Yeah, it's 20-minute tutorial.
Yeah, we don't remember anything at all. That's me at least. Awesome. Obviously, we'll put the link to Afterlight Comics in the show notes for everybody to go and check out. I highly recommend a lot of the comics on there. I've backed quite a few, read loads as well. And yeah, they're all kind of inspired. I mean, a good reason for you to be on this podcast is they all are inspired in a way by classic horror and sort of like horror tropes that we all know and love. And obviously most of them have got a nice unique spin on those tropes as well. So
I still remember your first ever description of Ghost Island, Joey, when you met it. Said, imagine Jurassic Park, but they put ghosts in it instead. I was like, take a copy of that, say no more.
It wasn't actually me who come up with that.
Well.
It was like my fourth convention into a year of like touring Ghost Island 1. And I was first convention with a friend who was helping me. I think he actually pitched it for me. And he said,
"Oh wow, nailed it."
And you're like
I'll be having that for the next 20
I'll
years.
be having that, thank you. Amazing, awesome stuff. Okay, I guess we should talk briefly about the conventions we were all at this weekend just gone. So, Joey, you attended For the Love of Horror convention in Manchester. Yeah, how was that? Any highlights?
It was good. Yeah, it was. For the Love of Horror is like very guest heavy. Yeah, always get really good guests. Probably some of the best in the UK convention scene. They had the cast from Terrifier 2.
Oh, nice.
The girls, and
awesome.
I don't know their names. Sorry. And the boy, and then they had is it John Jarrett from Wolf Creek, the Australian?
Oh yeah,
we were just talking about him the other day.
We were chatting about him just last night.
We need to do a Wolf Creek episode.
There you go. And he was there. And who else was there? They had one of the Michael Myers guys, I think.
Oh, okay.
And
someone from Saw as well, did you say?
Yeah, so you had Detective Hoffman, Costas Mandalore from Saw.
Of course.
Well. His queue was like pretty big because I don't want to see any spoilers, but if you're up to date with the Saw movie franchise, something might be happening.
I'm not, but I'm assuming that means he's involved.
He might be on the way back.
Be on the way back.
I guess, especially now they're dealing with. It's no secret that Saw X is not the last in the timeline, is it? It's gone back a little, so
it's between
lots of people that you saw
1 and 2,
saw around might be back again.
Yeah, definitely. So it's doing well at the box office, so I think.
Yeah, I know.
Saw is a franchise that will never be stopped.
Oh.
Well, did Spiral and Jigsaw, did they do all right at the box office as well? Is it just like the box office numbers that are keeping it going?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it was just the fan reception wasn't maybe.
No.
That's what stopped them from maybe pursuing more with that.
They've had a little break, and I think Spiral. I think we did an episode on Spiral, didn't we? And I didn't engage with it. I thought there was something a little. I don't know, it felt a little hollow, a little bit missing. But I've always been a fan of the early Saw movies.
Yeah. I think on the podcast we've only ever covered the original and then Spiral. I think just because it was like a new release. But I do enjoy. My favorite thing about the franchise is when you get flashbacks and whoever the character is, in order to making them young, they just
stick a backwards baseball cap on him.
Either a backwards baseball cap. What did they do with Chris Rock? I can't remember. Was it literally just he had a different hairstyle? That was literally
he had a big lollipop.
It might have been a mustache actually, yeah, because at least they could go, oh, this was the 80s, everyone was rocking a mustache.
He's wearing shorts.
He's wearing shorts. He's wearing shorts. Amazing. Awesome. Okay. And then of course me and Andy just got back from Fault Bubble mere hours ago. And we met some awesome people and sold some books, sold some comics as well. So it was good fun. And we also spoke to the guys from Dead Northern, attended the Dead Northern stage for a while, witnessing the cosplay parade and various other things as well. And yeah, we might be getting on board with them and doing some level of collaboration next year. Hopefully, we're going to attend the event as well. So obviously, we did Fright Fest this year. We're definitely keen to attend more in-person events and cover them and talk to people. So yeah, watch this space.
This year, Ben, I've got to be careful. I've more weekends away with you than I do my wife, which probably means I should start taking her away more.
Well, I don't know.
Rather than go less with you, because I want to go to all this cool stuff.
You have a great time with me as well.
Yeah, I've had a lovely time.
A lovely time, yeah.
Yeah. The opposite of horrors. We had a lovely traditional Saturday evening Wagamamas. Isn't that nice? Lovely.
Yeah, lovely. And of course, on this podcast, it's very rare that me and Andy get to watch the films together. We obviously watch them separately. But yeah, we snuggled up on the sofa. We were so snugly on the sofa. I was drifting off. I had to keep waking myself up. Nothing to do with the film, of course. Just incredibly toasty
tired. Been talking to people all day long. I mean, Joe, it's no secret to you. Anyone that's been to any type of convention around the world, if you've been there, I bet you come back and you think, oh, I'm dead tired. I've been walking around and looking at all these amazing things and seeing it. Honestly, try doing it on the other side of a table. I have never been so tired in my life. I think my voice is like an octave lower than it normally is. Because you're talking most of the day at a slightly, because you're in a loud hall, so you're talking all day slightly louder than you would normally.
I was at London MCM in, I think, May, and like it's a 3-day event, and on the Saturday I lost my voice completely. Just going through all the books on the table, and I was like, shit.
What did you have to do? Just point at comics.
My wife drove down, and she took over from the Saturday, and was like, she knows the crack with all the books and stuff, luckily. So she literally saved the weekend, to be honest. Otherwise, I was just like,
I can't speak anymore.
Yeah. Couldn't get away now, honestly.
Oh God,
terrible.
That's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
That is very terrifying, but a good way to relax and recuperate after a few days of talking to everyone and selling comics. A couple of hours on a podcast, eh?
Yeah, a couple of hours talking about horrible bloke,
talking about bloody horrible bloke, bloody collector. Okay, just a tiny bit of horror news before we move on. One thing, this is in relation to Thought Bubble as well, because I've got a hands-on look at the Vice Press Evil Dead 2 VHS. So this is going to be available on Thursday on the Vice Press website. But I got a good look at it. So it's just a brand new pressing of a VHS. It's got like blood splatter. It's like screen printed blood splatter on it. It's got art cards in it. I think there's 3 different covers that you can choose from as well. And it was one of those things, even though I was encouraged to touch it, I was still very delicate with it. So I was like, oh God.
In case they go, you've dirtied this, you got to buy it now.
Yeah, or
yeah, a trap.
It was a collector style trap.
Where you pull it, and then all of a sudden the string goes, and you've been like sucked up into a box.
I've been a complicated pulley system has just fired me down the convention hall.
And you're there with little tiny VHS tapes like going around your head after you've been like bonked on the head, and then a chandelier full of knives falls on you.
Oh, that's the worst one. So yeah, this has got artwork from Matt Ferguson and a Flory. I think that's how you say that person's name. But yeah, it looks delightful. And I think if you're a VHS collector, it's great because obviously when you are a VHS collector, you usually finding relics and sort of VHS maybe that's out of print or something like that, maybe paying over the odds for something just because it's so rare. Whereas this, like, how often do you get a chance to buy a brand new VHS which is produced, sold under license in the UK as well, so it's like an official Evil Dead product as well, and 6 postcards as well you get, which is lovely. I would say
like VHS is going in the direction of like vinyl now, where there will be these like prestige formats of people like, yeah, you haven't seen this unless you've seen it on
VHS.
Yeah. So if you've got any,
what's the price
VHS machines, you've got a CRT TV, get them down.
That's a good question, actually. Let me see what the price for it is. Because yeah, if it's
35 quid or something.
Do you reckon 35 quid?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. Wait, here we go. It says all it says is yes, it plays. That's not the price. I want to know the price.
You have to ask Ben.
Possibly the price has not been revealed up until it goes live. So we'll find out.
I can imagine the cost of making VHS
Yeah.
It's quite niche now, isn't it? It's got to be, pretty pricey.
Yeah, because who out there is going to be able to do it? I guess it's weird, isn't it? But yeah, so it's going to be a new line of Vice Press home video. This is the first one. No news on what the next one might be, but keep an eye out for that going live. Yeah, awesome. And the only other things I wanted to mention was the Terrifier 3 teaser, which I think we briefly discussed last week, is officially available online now. I think it was only shown in theaters with Terrifier 2. Last week, but now you can watch it, and it's just a nice little teaser of Art the Clown putting some presents under a tree and a little boy coming into the room, and it does make you think, surely, I mean, are kids now on Art the Clown's, is that the next step? Who knows, because it's pretty brutal already.
The kids have been on menus from people from 80s horror movies for a long time. Saw a blob eat that kid back in the mid 80s. If they can do it, why can't Art?
Kids are back on the menu, boy.
Exactly.
Kids are back on the menu. Finally. But
had it too good for too long.
So there's that. Obviously, go and check that out online. That is releasing next year. So that will be a Christmas extravaganza. And then we also got a trailer for horror adjacent, the new Ghostbusters movie, Frozen Empire. Have you both seen the trailer for this?
No.
I have. How are you feeling about it, Ben?
I mean, I don't know. It was one of those where I hadn't really been paying attention to what they were doing with the franchise, whether it was going to be like a brand new trilogy, with the last film and now this sequel and whatever they're going to do. I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? It just doesn't feel spooky. It feels more like a disaster movie, like New York freezes over.
I've been struggling with it tonally, and I did hear someone say something today that I did maybe soften me on my initial reaction was, well, I'm not sure I am into this. I think mostly I didn't like the ice effect as it was coming over the city. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not quite sure about this. But then I've been turned around a little bit by a couple of people. One, some of our friends who have been very positive say, oh no, it looks really exciting. But then another description saying they wanted to do was have it rather than, someone's described the previous one as basically like the Force Awakens of Ghostbusters. It's like do the same thing again, realistically, but bring it all back and bring those legacy characters back. Someone else has described this one as what they wanted to do was make it like an episode of the real Ghostbusters cartoon where something weird happens and it's not Zool and it's not all those other folks again. They just do a weird thing. Tonally, it's a bit strange that there aren't really any jokes in the trailer.
There aren't really any jokes in the trailer. It doesn't look particularly scary, spooky. So it's a bit weird. It doesn't necessarily feel like, and again, it's just a tiny trailer, so we don't know. Joey, are you a big Ghostbusters guy? Did you like the last film?
I didn't watch it until 3 or 4 years ago. Ghostbusters 1.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So maybe if I'd have watched it earlier, in time.
If you're more into it, like you got no like childhood fondness for it.
You got no skin in the game for the old Ghostbusters.
I did hear about this Ghostbusters though. The studios are heavily banking on this being like a blockbuster movie. It's gonna rake in hundreds of millions. So
a
lot rolling on it. So
it's got good people in it. So I think having been initially skeptical, I think I've just about turned around. So I'm interested to see them do something different, and it's the first trailer. There's plenty more to see. There's loads of really good, funny people, and I can't imagine they're going to say we're going to strip it out and make it a really dour movie. It must be that they're just maybe taking the opposite approach to any comedy movie I've ever seen and not put all the best jokes in the trailers, so we can just be surprised on the day.
I like it. It's not going to be like an origin story for these characters either. Like these characters are established already, so we can get straight in there with the Ghostbusting action. And it does look like legacy characters are involved as well. I mean, I'm sure I'll see it. I'm just
absolutely. What else am I doing?
What else are you doing on the day of release? Okay, so that's it for horror news. Very, very brief because I know we've been busy this week. What we've been watching. Has anyone seen anything this week?
Can I mention a little bit of horror news?
Of course you can. Some, please.
I would usually open it up to the room. I don't know why I didn't, but yeah, of course, go for it, Joe.
I literally don't back many board games, and because we mentioned board games before, and we've mentioned Saw, and we've mentioned this film, obviously the writers. I think 10 days ago there was a Saw board game that's been launched on Kickstarter, and it's called Saw Trials. And basically, you can play with a group of friends, or they've just released this new solo mode that you can play on your own, which is pretty cool. And basically, you've got to escape all these traps and follow these clues to escape like these different rooms and mazes. I think it's pretty cool, and it's the only time I've like backed quite big for a Kickstarter. They've got like basic board game, which is like 45 quid, which is quite reasonable for a board game. And then there's like a £65 version where you get like a saw severed hand prosthetic.
Yes. That's a pretty good price for something like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
I thought so. I was thinking, yeah. So that's on my radar.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Nice. Good to get it on there. Give me something else for the show notes, Ben. Get it in there.
So yeah, just looking, saw the Jigsaw Trials. You've been selected as a potential new candidate to become my successor. But first, you have lessons to learn. You're trapped in my workshop filled with everything you need to create. Oh, create my traps. So you like creating traps and breaking them. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, this sounds cool. Yeah. I like the idea of this. And yeah, Kickstarter board games. I found usually there's like, I wouldn't mind backing this, but it does seem like, I totally understand why they're as expensive as they are. But that seems like a bargain if you're going to get a nice prosthetic severed hand as well.
And they've done a few Kickstarters before, so it's not like running job. So
yeah. Oh, nice.
And Lionsgate's officially licensed and all that, so it's should
sweet.
Should do well.
Yeah. So they're all set up to actually go. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So good.
Nice one. Okay, so yeah, what we've been watching this week, anything horror or horror adjacent in the last 7 days or so that you would like to mention? Anybody? Joey, have you seen anything?
I seen Talk to Me on Netflix.
Oh, what did you think?
I liked it. I really liked the concept of it, and kids being around it, and the possession factor. And I think it's that film has got a lot of legs in terms of sequels and building the lore of that. I was listening to an interview with the directors. Brothers. Are they brothers or something?
I think they're brothers. Yeah,
they're brothers, and
disgustingly young.
YouTube, right?
Yeah, that's it. And they literally have got like a massive book of lore that they pages and pages before they even did the film, so they know where who's passed the hand on to who down generations and all that. I thought that was really cool.
That's really exciting, and not spoiling anything for what we'll be talking about in less weeks than you think when we're doing our films of the year. I can almost guarantee that's going to turn up when I'm going to be talking about things I've liked the most this year. I think it was good. It had some great scares in it. I think the depth of the lore, as you mentioned, was really good, and found the dialogue really genuine and engaging. It did feel like the way that teenagers talk to each other and things like that. I thought it was really good.
I think the sequel's been confirmed as well, hasn't it? Talk to Me Too. I think it was just called that. I think there was a confirmation that was going around. Talk to Me. I mean, missing a bloody trick there, aren't you?
And then of course talk to three.
Talk through me. Talk for me. It's all coming.
See that this is free.
This is all in the book. I've seen the book. I've seen the booklet. Anything else at all, Joey, that you've seen?
What else? I actually watched a bit of that Terrifier 2 as well. I'm not massively into gore, even though this film's a little bit gory, but I think Terrifier takes it to quite extremes.
Quite an extreme level.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
not been a while since I had a nightmare. And I think I had a nightmare. After seeing that one. And I kept thinking I heard shouting and stuff in the night. So.
Oh no! All right, the clown just appearing at the window. Well, did you see the particular scene, like in a bedroom as well? There's a scene.
Yeah, that was
that might be the maddest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You almost became a statistic then, Joey. I see with those pictures, man, watched this film, got too scared, had to be taken out by the ambulance. You're having some oxygen outside.
Man passed out in the aisles. Had to be taken. That makes a great headline. Yeah, because I think there was a headline going around about number 3 where it was like big studios refuse to back this because of opening scene. And I think Damien is it Leone? Leone said that's not entirely true. However, it does make a good headline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andy, have you seen anything this week?
Just the one. I've been on Shudder. I'm still making terribly slow progress on all of the prestige television. And I've realized that there's a new season of Chucky going right now as well, and I really loved the last 2, so I want to get started on that. I think it's screening on Sci-Fi here. I haven't dug into what it's on, so I need to catch up on that. But I did watch something on Shudder. I've started the new Hell House movie, the prequel, but I'll comment on that when I finished it. I got sidetracked and had to go out, so I'll finish watching that, possibly start it over because I'm only about 20 minutes in. But I did get to watch The Puppet Man. The Puppet Man.
The Puppet Man?
The Puppet Man over on Shudder. It's another Shudder original. It's one of them that's come out just around Halloweenish. And it opens with a scene of there's a woman there cooking some dinner, and her husband comes in sort of walking awkwardly, and he does a murder on her. But he seems to be not in control of his own body. And then we flash forward a few years, and you see his now grown-up daughter struggling with the curse that's also affecting people around her, where these people suddenly lose control of their bodies, and then horrible things happen to them. And no spoilers, but the film's called The Puppet Man. I'll leave it to your intelligence to wonder who's behind that. The Puppet Man.
No, Pinocchio's dad. What was his name?
Geppetto. Can't
Geppetto
confirm if it doesn't spoil the film for you. It's not Geppetto. But maybe it's someone else. It was interesting. Like it was good. Have you seen films like for the way that people lose control of their bodies and then horrible things happen to them? Have you seen Mirrors?
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, reminded me a little bit of conceptually of Mirrors, except it's not Mirrors, it's Puppet Man. Yeah, and it's one of those where I think quite early on you get the impression as what's going on and what's behind it all, and then certainly for me watching it, what I had an initial suspicion of it being, and I was sitting back going, I've rumbled this. This is exactly what it is. This is how it's going to come out. I was wrong, and it made the film more enjoyable when it actually did come out.
You thought Geppetto as well.
I thought it was Geppetto, yeah. So I've seen him. He's got form. But yeah, it's interesting. Forms. It's on Shudder, and if you already have Shudder, it's free. So it's worth a watch.
Sweet. Very nice. Only one for me as well. I watched the movie Dark Harvest, which is on Prime now, directed by David Slade, who directed 30 Days of Night, Hard Candy, apparently one of the Twilight movies, Twilight Saga, Eclipse. Got him involved in that. This is like a really good Halloween movie. It's set at Halloween. There's like some weird town tradition, and there's some great creature effects, some great monster effects, some great gore effects. Some of the performances maybe not as great, but I think based on the concept, it's still enjoyable. Yeah, I think it's a decent watch for Halloween, and without spoiling anything in terms of creatures and stuff, definite Pumpkinhead vibes.
Okay.
So if you're a fan of that franchise, I think
reaching for my watch list as we speak, Ben. I'm going to get it on there.
Get it on the never-ending watch list. But that is it. Apart from the film of the week, unless there's anything else anyone wanted to cover before we dive in.
Nothing else from me, Joey.
No, that's all.
There we go.
Well, so, to the main event then. The collector.
To the main event. Mr. Collector himself. Do we know his name? Has he got a real name? Bob.
John Collector.
John Collector, yeah, that's his official name. His official surname is The Collector. Okay, so The Collector is a 2009 American horror film written by Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan, directed by it just says Dunstan, Marcus Dunstan. I thought just a man with one name, like I don't know, Nelly.
It stars or the orangutan of the same name.
Oh yeah, when he checks in.
That's him.
Stop checking in, Dunstan. To go and direct this film. It stars Josh Stewart.
I don't think they're the same person, though. Sorry, Marcus.
Oh, that's a shame. It stars Josh Stewart, Michael Reilly, Burke, Andrea Roth, Juan Fernandez, and Robert Wisdom. Norman Wisdom's son. No, probably not. The film follows a man who, in order to pay a debt, decides to rob a house, only to find out somebody with far more sinister intentions has already broken in. I'm assuming a long time before, even though it's made out that it's mere hours. It has got 6.3 on IMDb, 29% critic score. They didn't like it. A 48% audience score, and 3.0 on Letterboxd. And here are some choice reviews from Letterboxd. Silent J says, one of the most underrated horror flicks of the last decade. The Collector deserves his own franchise because he really has enough potential to be a horror icon if given the chance. Just give him a chance. 4 stars. Tuna Chips says possibly the darkest entry in the Home Alone franchise. 4 stars. I think Home Alone is pretty dark, regardless of like people are getting brutalized. That's 4 stars as well. Sam Cohn says one of the most aggressively stupid movies I've ever seen, but somehow becomes a horror masterpiece if you watch it between the hours of 12 and 2 a.m. 3 stars. Did anyone late night watch last night? Was it for us all? I think it was for us.
It's reasonably late. It was after midnight when ours finished.
Yeah, there we go. That's 3 stars. And then Audrey Lorraine says, this is the jagged, high contrast, late giallo Saw that Saw always could have been. Technically complex, but also slightly inept in a way that really only works depending on what the viewer brings to it. 3.5 stars. So some like mixed reviews there. But despite that, I couldn't find any like super, super negative reviews when I was looking through. Even the ones that gave it like 1 and 2 stars just didn't really elaborate on that. So seems that people kind of like it. And I guess you do too, Joey?
Yeah, I think it's it's executed quite well. I know some people don't like it, but like I like the quick cuts, and it fits in with the vibe sometimes especially when it's traps and it's fast moving mechanisms and things like that. I like the quick cuts. What I love the most in horror is like slow mo clips, building up that tension. And there's quite a few slow-mos in this, like when Arkham's walking around, or like the footsteps going up the steps. It's very much like the MTV style, like music video style thing that the Saw franchise like built upon as well. I've seen Ghosts use it quite a lot as well. I love it. I love stuff like that. So people might find it cheesy, but I like it.
13 Ghosts. It was almost like the slow-mo. Remember that 13 Ghosts sort of made, I don't know if we get anything like this in here, but does slow-mo, but also does that weird sort of like wobbly face thing going on. Yeah, that is very like music video, like turn of the century music video of a certain genre, usually like alternative. Love doing stuff like this. And yeah, it's a film that feels like it was released in 2009. Just because you can recognize those quirks in the filmmaking.
That color saturation is aggressively 2009 as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, these days everyone's got colored LED lights everywhere. It feels like they were ahead of the curve. You had the colored LED lights in all the corners.
It's a nice house they're doing up. Probably it could, it was before the days where you could have a digital assistant change the color of your lights, but they were well set up for single color work.
Yeah.
And what I read as we were getting ready for this, I think it's worth sharing given the sort of shared DNA. So originally the Collector was shopped around Hollywood. People were passing it around in bars and the like and business meetings. It was called The Midnight Man originally. I can see the Collector being called The Midnight Man. He's got a Midnight Man face about him, don't you think?
Yeah.
But it was pitched as a spin-off or prequel to Saw, an origin story for John Kramer, but the producers were like, nah, mate, we're dismissing it. So they changed it. And I guess the changes, bearing in mind, we've talked about Saw a little bit, and Joey, I know you're a big fan. So like John Kramer, at least initially in the early films, Jigsaw kind of has a motive and a method. It feels like in changing this, maybe they've taken the sympathy out of Jigsaw and his method and made him the horriblest man. Obviously, we don't know what changes they made, but it feels like that couldn't be an element of the character in a Jigsaw prequel because unless he decided to become nicer at the end.
I see where they come. It could have been a spin-off, or it could have been a prequel. I think you could have spun it like what? Because if you've seen Jigsaw, they've spun it like he had like apprentices that he was building, didn't he? So this could have been like a rejected apprentice or someone that John Kramer kicked out, and because he was too violent or didn't have, there's
You're
obviously...
you're not torturing people in the right way, mate. All
You're
right?
collecting people.
The way I'm doing it, there's people teaching people a lesson.
What's he say? Killing is distasteful. That's so yeah. But it could have gone that. It's totally could see it going that route. But
yeah, I agree. And I think what I kind of like about this film is the fact that like it doesn't feel the need to give you that lore and the backstories of people. And I don't know, so you didn't really get it in the first Saw, so that kind of makes sense. But Saw for me was the franchise that I kind of started losing interest in when that stuff was more and more was introduced more and more. The sort of act of not really knowing what was behind these traps and the motives behind it made me more interested in it. And when we started getting all of the information sort of given to us, that was when I struggled. So I mean, I don't know what the collected is like. No, the collection. What's the second one?
Collection is the sequel. I think it's classic Aliens. It just takes everything to the extreme in the collection, and I think it really dials everything up. It escalates a lot, and it gives you more background for the.
There's a Queen collector.
It's the collector himself. He's a what's the word? He's a republic. He doesn't recognize a royal family. He is just doing his own thing. But
he lays
just
eggs.
Struck me when you've got me thinking about how it could have fit in. Headcanon now, this is coming together. What if you take out the quick cut of a Saw movie when someone in a pig mask comes and tranquilizes you real quick? What if the collector worked for Jigsaw, and before you go into the traps, it's him that comes around your house and robs you off? That could have been that. It could have specialized in it, just collecting them in the house.
Yeah, he could fit in. He could fit.
Yeah, he could easily fit in. I just kept all I kept thinking
the organization.
He could still fit him in. Saw 13, 40.
Well, yeah, they're like, well, Saw 10, Saw X is 1.5 essentially. That means we've got all the 0.5s to get through next. I was worrying about the wrong things in this film though. I just kept thinking, oh, I hope someone got rid of that wasp nest. I hope that haven't been left, because that's dangerous, someone gets stung.
The next family moves in after this one, after cleaned up the house from this one, got all the spikes out the stairs, and there's still wasps there.
You'd be finding traps for years after you sorted this. I mean, I know it. Spoiler alert, of course, it does. Does it explode or just catch on fire?
Yeah, I guess in a way that's tidied up right now. Just bulldoze the land over, put a new house on it.
Yeah, that's fine. There's literally nothing left for them to realize that this is evidence. What's this? A chandelier made out of knives? That's a weird design choice, I know, but
I'm guessing in the explosion, the knives just melted onto the chandelier.
There we go. That's handy.
400 bear traps.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it is overkill, isn't it? Like, it's a family. It's a family of 4. Is it a family of 4? Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, 2 bear traps, I'd say, would do it.
It's like a sea.
Sea of bear traps. Oh man.
He must have a way to set them up quickly. And he's put locks on. He's put new locks on all the doors as well. Should have been a locksmith, not an exterminator.
Arkham was walking around the house at the beginning with no straps around, and then
I did think that, yeah. It was like
the old turn up.
Maybe he was just finishing up in the other room. They were just like working around.
Yeah.
It's like
if you don't acknowledge the traps, they won't work. That's it.
Yeah.
You got to notice them. That's a big trap there.
He's not switched them on yet until he basically hooks the last bit of string on, and it somehow triggers all of them to go live.
We were laughing about it, saying like, I wonder how the collector gets around the house, and then we were like, it's got video game rules to it. So if you've set the trap, like if you set the claymore, it won't explode for you. It's fine.
You can walk on it. Yeah,
you can walk on it.
Walk through it.
What was it you said?
Yeah, he's marked as friendly, so he's like, no. I guess that's kind of a cool thing, because the collector, maybe this is more pronounced in the sequel, which is odd because he's an exterminator. You think he'd be the opposite of it, but he's very like a spider, right? Like he turns the house into like a spider's web of traps, and then like a spider, because spiders in the real world, in the world of nature, doing a David Attenborough bit for you here. Spiders can get stuck to their own webs. They haven't got like specially slippery feet. Like a spider knows in a spider's web where it can and can't stand to not get stuck. And they instinctively know that. So a spider can move around its web very quickly. And that's what we have, I think, in the collection. You know, you'll throw a spider motif, you'll chuck a CGI spider about here and there to remind you that him and spiders are connected. So I feel like that's what he's doing. He's turning people's houses into these kind of web-like structures, and he just knows how to get about. He could probably close his eyes and hopscotch about the place.
He is quite a small guy as well, right? Is that
I
right?
thought he was massive. Yeah,
did you?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
But when he's walking outside the house, you can see like a body, can't you? Must be like Michael Myers kind of height.
Okay. I don't know why I thought he was small. Maybe just because the way he's sort of like skulking
he's creeping around the house. He's ducking.
Yeah, he's ducking. Like, hang on a minute. How tall are you? His little lighting up eyes. That is a creepy. It's a good sort of like creepy visual, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel like aesthetically, like, you know, when you're a kid and you've accidentally watched a bit of Crime Watch and then you sit away, even though What's His Chops tells you not to have nightmares, that's not enough. You sit there thinking that burglars are going to break into your house. And I feel like when you're a kid, the collector is the image of like the faceless criminal that might come into your house with like glowing monstrous eyes, but otherwise like a featureless just void as a face.
He kind of looks like a sleep paralysis demon type thing. I think that's the person I always think I'm seeing in the corner of the room when I get those experiences.
And it's just a pile of washing.
It's just me pile of washing. It's just a man with my pants on his head. That's exactly what he is. There.
So at least you can put a name to it now. So when you wake up screaming in bed tonight, you'll be like, "Oh, the collector!" No, just a standard.
Oh, no, don't collect me. I'm sorry. Don't put me in a box. Why is he called the right? He definitely like murders people. I know I said that before. He didn't.
But he always keeps one, doesn't he? Because he's the collector. That's what
has he got like some sort of like at the end of the Raiders of the Lost Ark, like a warehouse with boxes?
Spoilers for the collection. Yes, he has exactly that. He has a big old house full of stuff he's collected.
Are you going to keep everyone alive in there though, or does he not mind? Does he not mind if
after they die off, he makes them into beautiful art displays like Damien Hirst's. He puts them in like little formaldehydes, doesn't he?
I'm interested now.
Oh, watch it.
I think
I think after this one, I'm not going to spoil my rating or anything, but I wouldn't say like I was super into it. I was into some bits of it, but I wasn't kind of thinking I wanted to watch a sequel. But now you've described it, I'm a bit more like, okay, I won't mind checking it out.
It's more action kind of than it's like Andy said. This is like the Alien, like more intense, and then second one's like Aliens, like
collectors. There's loads of him crawling on the ceiling. Flamethrowers.
There is a lot of fire in it. There is some flamethrowery stuff. It's very Aliens.
There's a big dance club scene, Blade style.
Oh yeah, you described that. You mentioned that actually, Andy, didn't you?
Yeah. Somehow minor spoilers, everybody, for an opening scene for the collection. Somehow the collector has done his thing on an entire underground nightclub, and he's put lawnmower blades that come across the top of the dance floor. Just when he puts a bit of music on, when people start putting their hands up, gets them. And then he's also built like a Star Wars crusher trap.
Oh wow! Okay. Yeah. See, I like that because when you're in like any environment like that, where the DJ says "Put your hands up," I'm always like, "No, I wouldn't do what you tell me," and this is a good reason to not do it. Oh, don't do it. You're not a collector.
You would hope that you were in a club where the DJ had said "Get down," because if you had, you would have been all right. But
lie down on your face. The collector's like, fucking hell.
Yeah, you can only hope you're at like that era of a night in a UK nightclub where they do that sitting on the floor, oops upside your head one, because that would be the only time you'd be fine. So everyone's sitting on the floor doing the tap in the sides, you'd have been fine.
The collector goes to the UK in the 1980s and goes to rugby clubs.
Goes to a rugby club and he's like, so frustrated. They keep escaping my traps. How is this happening?
Oh, in the background of my picture, he looks horrible. He looks like he's got proper little shark's eyes as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Something like horrible. Oh yeah, there's something not human about him.
He's got a cheeky wee smile in the one he's on mine though.
Oh yeah, cheeky boy.
You can't stay cross at that face. Look at him.
Even if he put you in a box, you'd be like, "Oh, but
the collector."
But he is
Go on,
he
then.
is cheeky though. Okay, so in terms of the plot, we'll deep dive into this. I've kind of mentioned the cast already, but there are no like big names in it. I recognize Josh Stewart from something. He's definitely been in some
Punisher series.
Oh God, yeah.
Punisher, yeah. Series 2, he plays the priest, doesn't he?
Actually, I'll tell you where I recognize him from. The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
He is. It says he's in the Dark Knight Rises, and I think he is just one of Bane's guys. I think maybe like the second in command Bane.
One of the Bane boys.
One of the Bane boys. One of the Bane fellas. Yeah, he's the Bane of my life. He is. Yeah, just like someone who, when Bane decides, I'm not even gonna talk, he does some talking. This guy. Yeah, that's where I recognized him. That's the only guy I recognized. Didn't really recognize anybody else. So we get an opening scene with a married couple, Larry and Gina. Classic Larry and Gina. This is set in the UK. This is set up north somewhere, set in Skegness. Larry and Gina coming home after a nice night out at the bingo.
They're out at the bingo. And you know, it's good to see that as a slightly older couple, their relationship still got the passion. They're snogging. They're getting ready to take this upstairs to the bedroom. But then they go, hang out a bit. What's this box doing in our bedroom? And it says,
big old large trunk.
For the collector. And they're just in the middle of thinking to themselves, I didn't order a big box for the collector. And then we just see Larry get grabbed, and then our cold open ends.
Oh yes, we don't see anything happen to Gina then, do we?
I don't think. Do we ever learn what happens to Gina? I don't recall seeing.
Maybe she's in the warehouse full of her boxes. She's one of them.
No, he only collects one, Ben. Come on.
Oh, is that right?
He must just killed her off.
Is that a rule? He only collects one. That's a rule.
I've only seen him collect one.
Yeah.
One at a time. Okay,
yeah,
one at a time.
I think he chooses. I think someone says that he chooses the ones he wants and then he rejects the rest. But I'm not sure if he saw two things he really wanted and he really couldn't decide, maybe he would choose.
Toss a coin.
Yeah.
If you went up to your bedroom and there was a box in there and it was rumbling about, would you open it?
Nah. At least not in the evening. I'd leave it till morning. At least.
I don't know. Like, because my last thought would be I'm about to die, or the collector's about to get.
That's only because you've seen the collector. If you didn't live in the world where the collector was a film,
I think I just
could be an Amazon Prime box.
Yeah, it'd be a massive Amazon Prime box like that, and I'd open it and have one SD card in the bottom. Bloody reusable waste. What are they playing at? Amazon.
and then you turn back around. The collector's like kneeling down behind you, pushes you in the box, seals you up in it, sends you back to Bezos.
Seals you up forever. Sends me back to Bezos. Yeah, because they're horrified by the content. So this is what I'm kind of confused about. Because obviously he brings somebody from a previous
collection.
But why? Is it like
maybe you can get that explained?
He just likes to make his life more difficult, because I feel through the course of this movie, spoilers for a bit later on, Larry that we see getting captured now, he's in the box a bit later in the main part of the film. And I feel like it only causes him inconvenience to have him with him this whole time. So many times the collector has to go storming up the stairs to kick the box and make him be quiet.
even Arkham puts him back in the box.
Get in.
Yeah, when he puts him back in the box, it proper looks like he just folds him in half. Get back in there, in the box.
Easy, like a freaking wet tissue paper.
Yeah. Look, as soon as he comes up, please let me get back in. Shove this guy back in. Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems to, right, first of all, it seems to make his life more difficult because he's got to swap one person out if he's going to collect someone else. I'm assuming he's only got one box, like in this scenario. He might have loads more at home, but so yeah, it just makes his life more difficult, doesn't it? I don't understand.
Or maybe he was on the way somewhere on this occasion and he was like, I really want to go and collect this family, but got this bloke in my van. And he must have just thought to himself, I'll tell you
take
what,
him along for the
I'll
ride.
bring him. Or maybe like he relies on the distraction that if someone sees that box, again, Ben, a bit like you, all of these people live in a world where the collector isn't a film.
Yeah.
So you might say, I'll trick them. They'll open that box.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll use that as an excuse when he is the guy going, bloody hell. And this is right. now I'll go and put the traps on.
Yeah. Put the traps on.
Yeah.
So yeah. After obviously this opening scene, then we flash forward a little bit to Arkin O'Brien, who's working as a handyman for the Chase family. I was confused by this for a while. I was like, who is this guy and what's he about? Like, how is he related to this family? I didn't realize. And then he was fixing a door, so I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So he's a former convict. Is it explained? I guess he's just into robbing people, right?
Yeah, he's brilliant at being a burglar, isn't he?
Yeah, scopes out the house, works as a handyman for a while, works out what goods they've got, weighs in, and then he's got his
That's a little tea party with a little girl.
Yeah. So it seems like he's got a good relationship with the family in more ways than one. Because the dad like gives him some extra cash, says like, I know you've got a little one, so let's
I think he was feeling harsh for coming in because at first,
oh yeah,
like he's having the tea party and for some reason he decides not to mention saving his kid from a spider during the tea party. So looking really sus when the dad comes in and he's like, what's all this then?
Because there's a screaming as well from the girl.
Like,
yeah.
She screams.
Oh,
You
yeah.
could just say,
What the fuck?
I don't understand why you just say, oh, your daughter invited for a tea party and there was a spider on her cup.
It's just
Because I feel that's a completely natural explanation. It goes, bloody hell, be careful, spiders.
I'm just going to be as shifty as possible, sat here on the floor
in the little girl's room,
and she's screaming. Yeah, they could. You could have just avoided that very, very simply, but instead he endears him by saying, "Oh, I've also got a kid." And he goes, oh, "Okay, that's you and me the same then."
He didn't understand how tea parties of kids work, where you got to like pretend you're having the most delightful, delicious cup of tea ever. He was like, "There's nothing even in this."
He's not got it right.
Wasting my time.
Although he does get a little bit of a hint there, and it shows the tweeness of my 1980s UK childhood upbringing versus the realities of this film. He asked the little girl, "Oh, if you had a toy, what would you want?" She was like, "Basket bear." In my head, it was like, "Okay, little teddy bear in a wicker basket, is it?" No, it is a modern teddy bear dressed in basketball apparel. But
are they legit?
No, I think they exist for this film.
I feel like I want one.
It's very much first draft. Well, think of a thing, basket bear.
I like it. It sounds great.
You love a basket bear, Ben?
I'd love it. So yeah, obviously in terms of his relationship with the others, there's an older daughter as well who like comes over while he's punching a dart. He lights cigarettes and discards them at such a rapid rate where I'm just like,
maybe he only took the first cigarette so we could scare those wasps away. Because like, I feel like I ate a stingy flying insect. He's like putting like a screen in, like a door screen, and he's like covered in wasps before he reacts even slightly. Honestly, looks like the Candyman, covered in wasps, and then he goes, "Cigarette smoke. That's all the wasps want." And they go, "Ah, fair enough." The wasps are like, "Disgusting habit." Go back in the house.
Yeah, and the older daughter like asks for, what does she say? Can I
have a drag?
Yeah.
Could I have a drag? Can
I drag of your cigarette?
And he says, just no, didn't he?
He says no. She says, "Oh, don't be a narc."
If he's just,
that's all it takes. He's all right. Then.
Don't be a narc. I'd be like, where have you been? Who do you think you are? Because if the dad discovers him now smoking with his other daughter, it's just gonna kick.
Can you imagine if she had us dragging a cigarette and then screamed just as the dad walked in?
All right, what's going on here?
Stop making my daughter scream.
So yeah, then he gets some more money from the dad.
The daughter climbs up Chekhov's trellis into the house.
Yeah.
Instead of going into the front door of the house.
Why did she do that instead of going up through the just?
Was she sneaking? Was she like trying to sneak in?
Yeah, I was thinking
she didn't want to go, so maybe
it was like the middle of the day. Oh yeah, okay, I got you. So yeah, then they're going away for just a trip. Did they say a holiday, a trip?
Yeah, taking a holiday. Daughter doesn't want to go.
Yeah, doesn't want to go. And like kicks off about it, but then we don't really see the only thing we see, which is key to the story, is as Arkin's leaving, he mentions to some like masked pest control guys that there's a wasp's nest out by the, what was it, like a greenhouse or something.
Yeah.
And they just go, "We're all right, don't worry, we'll sort that out." Well, they didn't say anything today, so
Give him a thumbs up.
Give him a thumbs up. So that's interesting. Something that could easily be like a totally throwaway moment that I even couldn't quite remember had happened. Is very key to the story. Yeah, and then
it turns out he does go and buy his daughter a basket bear, but then in a very quick scene when he's given her the basket bear, like, do I get to keep this? I'm assuming all other teddy bears have had to be sold because unfortunately Arkin owns some money to some mean old loan sharks, and they need their money by midnight.
Yeah.
Today just happens to be the deadline.
His debt is owed to several loan sharks due by midnight. And so yeah, essentially his plan is to steal. How does he know that this ruby's there? Because he just sees
the massive chaos emerald that's in like the
oh yeah.
Dr. Robotnik will pay big money for this. I'm gonna go and rob it from this. Does he see that? Does he see it going in the safe?
I don't think all I saw was like some sort of like confirmation that the guy was a jeweler. It was like some sort of signage or like a letter or something that was saying.
And then with his burgling radar, he must
spider sense.
Yeah, he uses his like detective vision to see that. Of course, that's going to be behind the big mirror. I tell you what, the amount of time he spends trying to break into this safe as well, like between him, Arkin, and the collector, it's people trying to do quite complicated jobs and being like interrupted all the time by noises in other rooms.
I'm trying to collect someone in here.
Yeah. So yeah, he says he's going to be back. I'll be back by midnight. Everyone, don't you even worry about it. So he goes to. I feel this is just to help out with the certificate and the grungy nature. He goes to have a meeting with a man in a strip club. Because of course that's where you criminal sorts hang out. Goes to meet a man in the strip club. He's like, no, I've told you. I want this is the cut, and he threatens him for a little bit, puts a lighter really near his hands and burns all the hairs off on his hands.
Oh yeah, burns all the hairs off on his hands. Yeah, threatening him, and he sort of says that it's all right, we're gonna go to this house, we're gonna get this emerald, it's gonna be worth it for everybody involved. Nice payday. I just kept thinking the deadline of midnight, like so it's an evening, the deadline of midnight, you're gonna get this emerald, but like you can't just turn up to the loan sharks and go, "Don't worry about it, guys. Got an emerald for you."
Is a massive crystal.
They're gonna want it sold, and they're gonna want the money, aren't they? Surely, like it just feels.
I don't know. He owns money to like maybe all of his debtors are from Skyrim. They will absolutely take emeralds.
Oh yeah, I'll have a bit of that. Lovely. So yeah, Arkin goes to. So is contact. Who is? Do we get a name for the contact? I don't think we do actually.
I just know the actor's name is the what's his chops Wisdom, isn't it? That's the fella.
Okay. So Robert Wisdom is Roy. That's it.
Roy. That doesn't sound like a gangster's name.
Oh, the thing is, I owe a load of
Sorry
money
if you're a gangster and called Roy. I'm sure you're very, very scary and mean.
Terrified, aren't you, Andy? So Roy does he just drive him there and say, like, I'll wait for you?
Drops him off and says, right, I'll be back. Come back at midnight or whatever. Unless the house explodes. In that case, don't be in the film.
That's too close. Too close to the deadline, midnight. Oh, if he owes Roy, he can probably give him an emerald. He's all right with that.
Yeah. He obviously knows the emerald. Maybe he knows that the emerald is worth more than he owes, and even by having to work out the transaction, he's still up.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like obviously this is the way where we joined the story. I almost felt like I understand we're jumping in a while after the collectors started doing his traps and torturing people, but I almost felt like I would have enjoyed seeing him, like how it played out with the family more so than how it plays out with Arkin.
At what point do you reckon he changes outfits from his civilian clothes into being the collector? Do you reckon he does some of the setup when he's there working legitimately? You doing with that?
Maybe.
I'm just attaching this pair of scissors to a string. Don't worry about it.
What's that for? I've seen a big rat. I've seen a massive rat and some roaches.
You're not expecting any calls, are you, on your phone? No. I'm just going to do some work. You're not putting a spike on the earpiece, are you? No.
Oh man, that was insane. To be fair, the mask, especially in the background of yours, Andy, looks a bit like the wasp nest. I reckon he's just put the wasp nest on his face. Just
put a big wasp bed on his head.
Squished it on. Okay, so Arkin goes into the house to ready to he's looking around, attempting to crack the safe as well.
It's got all his safe cracking gear.
He's got all his classic safe cracking gear as you need. He's kept all that, which is good.
Lovely stethoscope, but like a more high tech one to hear when the clicks are when he's turning the dials around.
Yeah. And how is he like alerted initially to the fact that the collector's knocking about?
Does he hear like either the footsteps coming up the stairs?
Yes, that's it. The footsteps come up the stairs, but thankfully there's a cupboard for him to hide in.
Yeah, I feel like Arkham's got like supersonic hearing as well, being the burglar. So, really acute.
Yeah, if you're a burglar, the skills you need: super quiet footsteps, super good hearing, dexterous hands.
Yeah.
Those are the perks he's chosen for this little mission.
So what happens? So the masked figure like sort of appears. Is the masked figure aware that he's in there? Oh, I think he is, isn't he? Like he's aware.
I have no idea when the collector realizes Arkin is there.
There's a few good shots
not till he biffs him later.
Because you have that cool shot, don't you? You have that overhead shot of the two rooms, and you see Arkham in one, and you see the collector in one.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Like round. And then he's kind of like suspicious, isn't he? But then he goes back down to the basement. And Arkham goes back to the safe again.
Yeah, he's going back to I feel like this is we were joking like we were watching it last night. This is like the Metal Gear bit. So he is like making noise. The collector's like, what was that noise? He goes up and looks and is like, and just goes back to it, like goes back to it because he
almost like opening the safe is like you've got to hold down a button or something. If this was a game, you're holding down the button as somebody's coming in, and then someone's there. I got to let go of it and go do something else.
Good hide. Oh, and we also know there's a scary dog outside because it makes Arkin jump when he's going in.
Oh yeah. So does the dog belong to the collector? Is that right?
Yeah, it's the collector's dog, I think.
Collector's scary dog. Bloody hell.
We don't know that yet. As far as we know, it's just a dog that was outside the house that was scary.
Yeah. So how does he discover that it's the dad he discovers?
Well, the dad,
first,
the dad appears, but he's all fucked up. He comes running in and thinks,
and he initially thinks that Arkin's the collector. I mean, it would make sense, wouldn't it? You'd think this person who's an ex-con.
So relax, I'm just burgling you.
Arkham's kind of wearing the same gear that the collector's wearing as well. Like, black
he's
pants, like I don't recognize those boots.
He's like, we've dressed the bloody same again. We're clashing. No,
one of us is gonna have to change.
We're matching. It's fine. No,
I've got this spooky mask on. Oh, okay.
They both shop at the same burglar / serial killer shop.
Which is lovely, nice. Quiet shoes, lovely like dark blacks to wear. But yeah, so Michael, the dad of the family, comes in. He's like, "What's going on here?" And then, in his outrage and reaction, he goes to grab a golf club out of the golf club case. But you'll never guess what? That golf club? It's a trap in it.
It's a bloody trap. I'm gonna have to set up a trap on the golf club case because you never know. That's the first thing I'm gonna do.
I think the collector's very good at like anticipating. Like he's like, I think he has the Sherlock Holmes from the modern films powers, where it's like there's a 50. Oh no, it's like the baddie from that last Resident Evil film where he knows all of the percentages. He's like, there is this percentage chance he's going to grab this golf club. He's going to get the 9-iron. So that is the one I will set to an incredibly complex series of pulleys and wires, whereby grabbing that club means that something attaches to his leg, drags him across the landing, hoists him up over the stairs, and then drops him over the edge to oblivion. and then you get slurped off down to the basement.
It's insane, isn't it? Like the sheer the design must have gone into that for that to like work.
It's complex though. The collector goes between simple and so there's an incredibly complicated trap. In seeing that happen, Arkin basically goes like, this is too much illegal for me. I'm going to phone the police, and that's when a simple one gets him because there's a spike on the earpiece of the phone. So
how? I mean, I don't know about you. It's been a long time since I've used a landline, but how like hard do you put the receiver to your face? Because I feel like you'd go, "What the fuck is that?" You wouldn't just go bang straight onto the side of your head.
To be honest, he's just seeing the guy just dragged away this trap. He's gonna pick up the phone for
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's good. That's true. We'll let him have that.
Also, there's a hole in his ear. It must be quite a long, it must be quite a long nail to go all the way in there.
I pierced me ear with a spike.
Yeah, the first spike piercing of the film.
Yeah.
So that means he's got a bad ear. He tries to get out of the window straight away, but then horrible razors slam on his fingers.
Oh yeah, that looks pretty bad. And
I thought he was going to lose a finger there.
Really struggling to get his hand out.
Degloving.
Oh yeah, degloving. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Obviously, it's only now that he realizes there's traps everywhere that they start to activate.
Because he almost gets got by those super sharp wires as well, doesn't he? When he's creeping around, we see them. The lighting of the film shows there's like a mesh of really fine wires. But I think he's looking away while the light's on it, and then it goes dark again. He gets like a cut across the face from almost walking into them.
Yeah, that is kind of weird, isn't it? There's like the moonlight kind of illuminates them, and that's the only way you can see them.
But he goes down to the basement.
What would happen if he just ran full on into him?
Get cubed.
Cube like Resident Evil, second Resident Evil reference of the show's far. He get laser corridored.
Yeah, he would get laser corridored, but just the low tech version with just wire.
But that is like a spider web, essentially, isn't it? That is very similar.
When you reckon the collector's shops, like it goes to being cute, it's like, have your sharpest wire, please. Has to be almost invisible.
Yeah, I reckon he's got like a discount card.
Oh, he's probably got a trade point card, hasn't he?
That's true. Okay. So what happens next? Oh yeah, look, so all the windows have been boarded up as well. Like escape is pretty much impossible. And now what happens is Arkin is just assigned with loads of side quests by the family who want him to do different things. Michael says, "Go and get my daughter. Go and get my wife. She's in that room, and I've got a gun here with this, and this is the code."
And he gets the code for the safe. So, what's the code for the safe? And it's like, I only want to know because of the gun, obviously.
Yeah. What's the code for the safe? I can't tell you now. Well, you must.
He's turning around like,
you're here.
Yeah. But is there anything else in the safe that I should definitely make a note of? If it's not there, I'll tell you that it's already gone when I look at it. No, nothing like that. No, okay, just the gun is what I'll be interested in. I won't be interested in anything else in there.
So yeah, the wife is like in the bathtub. What's she got? What's that little like pin on her eyebrow?
Like it's just
pinned in, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just stapled the blindfold on, I guess.
It's gonna ruin her Botox that she was putting in the beginning. And
oh yeah,
that's why she can't feel that it's in there.
She named a wrinkle as well, didn't she?
Jill.
That's what I was starting to think. Is this like similar to Saul in the way that he's like,
"You're vain, you are.
You're so vain, and you love putting Botox in your forehead. Well, now I have some needles in your forehead, and see how you like that." And she's like, "It's fine, actually. I'm used to it."
Yeah. So Arkin ungags the wife. Ungags the wife, and she's like, "Oh." She gives him a side quest as well and says, "You've got to save my daughter. She's hiding somewhere in the house."
Yeah.
Like Dick and Dom's hide her in the house. And they're gonna actually, and he takes on that side quest as well, but he accepts that
he tells Victoria to scream in order to distract the collector. It's a terrible idea because it almost ends up in a tongue getting lopped off.
Yeah, and he tries to say, she's like, just scream until he comes and then stop, and I'm sure he won't be cross. As far as I know, The collector's a really reasonable guy.
Because when Arkham's down there doing this, what's the collector doing? Is he going for a slash or something?
Yeah,
he's gone for a nervous shit because
maybe
he's gone for a lot of stuff, a lot of pressure on him.
Maybe he's having a look for the other daughter. Maybe he's got a lot of bear traps to set. He's down there like pushing bear traps open with his foot.
Someone better walk into these.
Yeah, if these don't all get used, I'm so pissed off.
So when when Arkin gets upstairs, he gets the gun, but the gun's got no bullets, and then that is when he finds the ruby. The bullet, does he find again? Like it is a bit like a video game where like things are in different places. Like, oh, well, you've got a gun, but now you've got no bullets. A bit like a survival horror sort of thing going on as well.
Another side quest comes up: optional find bullets.
Find bullets, or just bludgeon him to death with the gun. And this is when he finds, while he's looking for Hannah, is when he finds the trunk containing Larry. And this is where we get a little bit of an exposition dump. Larry explains to Masked Man he's a collector of people. He only collects one person per household and kills everybody else. And he's like locked in there, and his feet are like kind of chained
his
in.
Feet are like bulldog clipped in.
Nice. So does Arkin initially just let him out and let him free?
Well, this is what happens, right? So the guy comes out, and while he's going, bloody hell, let us out of this box. The collector, who's meanwhile down in the basement trying to catch that poor woman's tongue, is like, I'm going to snip your tongue off with these scissors. Nothing worse than that, because I feel it's a bit like the cheese grater in Evil Dead Rise. I feel like getting your tongue snipped with scissors is something you can imagine quite effectively. Because I've caught my finger in like tongue enough. Yeah. But he leaves her alone and doesn't snip her tongue out just yet, because that noise happens. He's like, "What's going on up there?" Then? And he goes storming upstairs.
How often does he make that weird sort of screeching noise as well? Is that I don't think he's done it yet, but he's done it. The thing is, just before this, for some reason, me and Andy were watching some Bo Selector clips, classic Channel 4 light entertainment comedy. Maybe hasn't aged too gracefully, but for some reason we were like, he looks like some sort of Bo Selector character.
Yeah.
The collector.
Yeah, I think it's because the mouth is separate from the rest of the face structurally. It's kind of looks familiar that way. So yeah. The collector takes one of his many like frustrating trips up the stairs. He's like, who's making that noise? And this is when Arkin's folding the old man back into the box like paper so he can hide again.
Get back in the box. No, I've literally been in there for ages. No, get back in.
I need a wee. No, you can't.
He's pretty useless though, Arkin, because everyone he sort of comes to, he's like, just stay put. I'll be back in a minute. I'm off to do this thing. And then I'll come back and save you.
Literally everyone he comes across, he's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
And they're like, are you the collector? See, because that's what I do. You'd think that he was playing a game in some way, that he was the collector. He takes the mask off and he's like, I'm here to save you, just to give him that hope.
It's me, the collector, getting this box. No.
That would be evil though, wouldn't it?
And then the box gets a good kick in when the collector gets up.
Yeah, the collector's going, I'm trying to torture a woman here. Will you shut up in there?
Why'd you bring me along? Why didn't you just leave me at home? I said I didn't want to come. I told you you'd enjoy yourself. It's nice to get out of the house once in a while. Get out of the house.
Fundamentally live in a box. You live in a box. You should be grateful to me for bringing you out somewhere nice.
Putting a box in a wardrobe.
Yeah.
A box in a wardrobe in an unused room of a house.
It's like a Russian doll of torture, just like constantly. Okay, so what happens next? So, this is when Arkin goes back down and Michael's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, he's dead.
Intestines everywhere.
Intestines everywhere.
He's been stabbed up.
So he's obviously had his fun with Michael, with all the traps, and now he's just gone, that's it, actually, I'm just going to slice you up.
So he goes, right, I will, and then he goes, right, I will help you out, Victoria. So he goes back. The wife hasn't had a tongue snipped off, so he now tries to free her. I guess the collector's upstairs still raging that the old man like disturbed him.
Yeah.
So he does take a blindfold off. I feel like he makes a big deal of not being able to take it off before, and then when he comes down later, he just like pings it off, and it's it's not so bad.
Yeah, that's weird. And it's weird that he would take it off now, knowing that she's about to see her husband's mutilated corpse. Just keep the blindfold on for a few minutes as we go through, because it ain't nice in there, right? You're not gonna like it. But yeah, so she's like panics, screams, and then the collector is alerted again.
On he comes, down he goes.
Third time alerted, he must be absolutely raging. He's just like,
and
just
and he stabs her up, and we see him kill her later. But again, thankfully for Arkin, the collector gets interrupted yet again because Jill arrives home with her boyfriend Chad.
Just a series of him getting interrupted over and over again. Collector can't catch a break. It's like one of those days. It reminds me of one of those days when you're working from home, postman knocks on the door, dog wants to go out, neighbor comes over, guy wants to wash the windows. Oh, for God's sake, can't get any collecting done.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So he's raging, but silver linings, because Jill and Chad are definitely in line for murdering or collection. So he's having a quick look. Yeah. He's having a quick look, and obviously, like any time that you coming back to your parents' house, best thing to do is probably have sex on the kitchen table.
Exactly. When you're pretty much convinced that your family are safe and well in the house.
Oh, when they meant to go on holiday and she didn't want to come, maybe she assumed they had gone on holiday.
Yeah, okay. Away and she's snuck away as
That makes sense. That makes more sense.
An empty house.
Yeah,
that's why they're doing it. Yeah.
So she's expecting they've got a house party, so it's kitchen table 6 o'clock is what the time is.
The collector having a nice creepy little watch.
I know, yeah. If you're Arkin, that would be the perfect time to it'd almost be worth revealing yourself to the collector that you're at the house there. If you just busted him because he's having a little sit down, he's having a little peep,
peep show.
Just stand there in the corner with your arms crossed, shaking your head.
And then when he looks, the collector completely breaks character and is like, "How long have you been there?" Yeah, there's only one answer to that: long enough.
Long enough. We've seen what you're doing.
Long enough, the collector.
Dirty bastard.
He doesn't get busted.
Boyfriend Chad looks way older than her as well. I get thinking he had a little goatee going on.
Upside down Jill, when she's really enjoying their kitchen table foreplay, opens her eyes upside down. Is that asleep? No, I'm wide awake. It's the bloody collector, isn't it?
I'm sure he's doing that screeching sound as well.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, that screeching is really put me. It's the collector.
Yeah. You never made that noise before, Chad? No, it's not me, unfortunately. It's the collector.
It's not me. I'm a weird bloke, but I did think about doing it just on the doorstep of your house. Your front garden, and you're like, oh no, I suppose they haven't got many neighbours. But you're an idiot, Chad. Bed's fine. Yeah. It's the best place for it.
Chad, what does Chad do? Does he grab a baseball bat or something?
No, he goes to give the collector an almighty punch. But unfortunately, he telegraphs it to one. The collector just stabs him in the hand with a knife.
Oh, yeah. What kind of knife is that as well that he uses? Because he uses all those little throwing knives as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he is using those things. I've just realised, I think we've already had this. Obviously, I wasn't making live notes on this one. One of the other collector interruptions before the bit with Chad and Jill is when another one of the escape attempts with the glue.
Oh yeah, is that before? Is it with the cat?
I think that's up earlier on, where when one of the times the collector's looking up. I think it's when it was the man in the box. He runs into a room. There's an acid glue floor. The cat is already stuck to it.
This is mad. Overkill is 50 bear traps, however many there are. A room full of razor wire. This is all well and good. But literally, the fact that he's gone, and this room, which they might not even go in, I'm just going to fill with acid glue and see what happens.
Hot glue.
Yeah.
And so Arkin sort of gets across by making little stepping stones out of books, but the cat's already stuck to it, and the cat gets a bit bloodied when the collectors come in and he peels the cat off the floor. And the cat,
This scene is mad.
it feels like the cat would be on death's door from the amount of it that comes off on the glue. But then the cat goes to leap out of the window, and the collector's also arranged for like a rapid closing, like guillotine.
Guillotine.
Does
Does it cut the tail off, or does it cut it?
I think it cuts the cat in half.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was just the tail, because then we see the tail. Like, I wasn't sure.
All right.
I think it's just maybe it does. Maybe now it's just a Manx cat hanging out safely in the neighborhood. My
did
watch
we
of
even
it was
see a
that
cat?
it got halved.
Did we even see a cat before this? Was
No.
there like established that they had a cat? Just
No.
like
It's not Chekhov's cat. It's what the opposite
if you
is.
went into like, even if you're in a room full of traps and you went into that room, the last thing on my mind would be acid glue floor. I'd be looking for 100 other things before I look for acid glue floor. It's like that scene in Home Alone 2. You remember when they open the doors and there's a massive hole? I'm like, you look at the floor when you walk in, don't you? Your peripheral vision allows you to look at the floor. So if you open the door and there's acid glue there, you go, well, I might not go in there. But you just go storming in.
You go, oh, I'm stuck. So he loses his shoes at that, but maybe that's how he sneaks more effectively later because he hasn't got shoes on.
That's very Home Alone as well, when he gets his shoes stuck on the tar and his.
But when
his
when the cat does get chopped in half by the guillotine the collector's put in, I think the collector is also willing to write off. It's like, no need to look for any burglars in here because it's clearly this cat getting halved that has made this noise.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah,
exactly.
we'll bring ourselves back into the main timeline of where we were. So Jill and Chad were having sex. They spot the collector and he stabs Chad in the hand and then thumps him into a room full of bear traps. And I think the collector does get a lot of bang for his buck here. Most of them get set off.
Yeah, most of that's what he wanted, and it's a pretty good shot of him falling backwards, landing in the bear traps, and one closing on his head as well.
Yeah,
isn't it?
bear traps, are they in a hallway or?
It's like in the kitchen, is it? Because Arkin's like crawling under the kitchen table where there are no bear traps. When Chad gets basically shoved in there, it's a bit of an open plan downstairs. It's a kitchen diner, so he gets shoved into the dining room portion.
Yeah, gutted. It's pretty extreme, isn't it? But that's the thing. It feels like all these traps are just they're taking the sort of basic nature of how they could be and just adding some mad element to them that is just like, what am I watching?
Not just one bear trap, but all the bear traps. Not just glue, bear traps, acid glue. He captures Jill, and then something else. Oh, Jill manages to call.
He manages to call the
911.
Yeah. And then Arkin, and then she gets captured. And I can't remember exactly what happens, but Arkin manages to free her. But then
I don't know what the collector wanders off for again, but he does. The collector's like,
how big is this house?
Yeah, the collector nips off again. Arkin comes and cuts her free, but she doesn't trust him. No, you're the collector, aren't you? Grabs a pair of scissors.
I know I got the same clothes on as a collector, but I'm not him. I swear.
Look, I can't even do the noise.
Ask me something only the collector would know. No, that's right.
Ask me how many things I've collected. I did collect stickers. That's what the collector would say.
He loves stickers. I think we were making that joke when we were like, what's he the collector of? He's a collector of football stickers, and he's come to this place thinking it's just a swap shop like you used to get back in the day.
Yeah. He's looking at all the members of the family. Got, need.
I need a Roy Keane. I need a Roy Keane, Nottingham Forest, 1993, 94. No.
But he's still looking for an elusive member of this family, Shiny. And you think maybe he's going to collect Jill for a moment because he's looking to keep her, but unfortunately for us and for Jill, she
we got to break up this. What the hell is this trap? And
so she grabs the scissors.
How many times has this trap worked? Because it feels like this is like a 1 in 1,000 chance of someone actually getting flung up there. Yeah. What is the trap? It's like,
well, she grabs the scissors and then it just kind of pulls her across the house and throws her into a projection screen covered in spikes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
She gets one in the eye, makes her eye go funny.
It just seems mad.
That's a pretty big pulley system or whatever you got going on up there to generate that force.
I think
He's
he
just
loves
let go.
I think he loves the chaos of the police systems. Like, it don't really matter to him where it takes people. He just loves watching it. It's a right laugh. So after poor Jill has been killed, Arkin escapes the house, but he hears Hannah calling. Does he hear her calling out? And he's like, "Shit!" Or he sees the collector approaching.
Yeah, so he gets out, and having not find the little, because he's looked for the little girl a few times, he's like, Hannah, where are you? Wait, it's me, the man who's not the collector. And she hasn't come out. But then when he escapes in the chaos of all the bear trap incidents,
this is a bit of a trope in a like a home invasion movie that happens quite a lot, and I think I quite like it. Is where pretty much freedom and escape is right there in front of a character, and then it gives you some sort of moral choice for them to like turn back, essentially.
Yeah.
I think it's good because it kind of it gives the film a little bit more legs in terms of, why the person would still be there, why he wouldn't have just left. As soon as the collector was on his ass, you would have just ran away, wouldn't you? Obviously, it sets it up with the traps, but also this moment as well. I think I quite like it. The only thing I think it maybe could have done with is like an external good guy force who was maybe, you feel like, oh, we're saved. This person's turned up. And then they get got. Because I love it when stuff like that happens.
One in particular, right now, doesn't it? The police turn up right now.
Is that what happens now?
Yeah, just after
I hate to say it, Andy. Did I fall asleep?
This when you're dropping off, you're ever so tired. It's good to find me.
It's a good fill in the blanks for me.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to make the film go up by an entire rating for you. This is what happens. So first things first. Hannah is about to get captured by the collector. She's, for a man that's very effective at catching lots of people, he's awful at catching a kid. She's like crawling under the bed. He's trying to catch her. He's having no such luck. And then when he's almost got her cornered, and he's almost got her, there is no bullets in the gun, but it doesn't stop him absolutely sucker punching him with him. He coward punches the collector. Knocks him out for a second, and then they run, and unfortunately for the collector, they find out his one weakness is shut doors, because they shut the little girl's bedroom door, and he's hammering away on it, thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna get you," but they're trying to escape. It's 50-50 though. The collector gives as good as he gets, because they, oh no, isn't this first where they was this where they set a little trap for him?
Yeah, the TV and the fish box.
That's right.
Yeah, they go, right, he's going to come in a minute, and we're going to get him.
Setting a trap for the collector, the man who lives and breathes traps. You know exactly how they work, how to avoid them. Trying to set a trap for him. That's disgraceful.
And I guess maybe we finally found a purpose as to why he's bought that man in a box. So, right, if anyone tries to trap me, I'll bloody trap him right back. So the collector kicks the door down, and they set off their plan. They try to I still know what you did last summer in, and combine water and electricity, as we all know, to electrocute the collector. But he wazzes the Larry back through the door.
He has had a tough gig.
Yeah,
he's an incredibly tough gig. Poor Larry.
It's time out of the box, and he's
I'm finally free.
It's collector. I've been really thinking about what you said about being nice to be out. It'd be lovely to be part of what you're doing here. And yeah, he chucks him onto some electricity and I'm not even sure if he's dead or if it's what happens next to him, because after the electrocution fails and the collector steps in, it's like, don't believe you were going to electrocute me. Thank goodness Larry was in.
He's raging about it. That's actually really rude. That's really upset me, guys. That's really upset me.
I don't know easy as the collector, but this one cuts pretty deep. After that's failed, they run into like an ensuite, which is filled with fishing hooks hanging from the ceiling. So, Arkin almost gets a hook in the eye. Having been foiled by one door, though, the collector's not one to be fooled twice, and he's using the electrocuted body of Larry, his face, to bash in the door.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he's bashing
Brutal.
the door. Arkin sends Hannah down the laundry chute to the basement. Doesn't really give her a heads up that her dead parents are down there. He says,
"Oh my God,
get down the basement. I'll be right behind you." Unfortunately, the collector gets in and just uncomplicatedly, apart from a little struggle where he gets the collector's mask off, and we don't see the collector's face, but Arkin does. And while he marvels at the collector's face, he just knocks him out, just thumps him.
So we don't see the collector's face. Only Arkin does, right?
Yeah, we don't see the collector's face.
When you say marvels that, what does he do?
She goes,
he kind of like recognizes him, doesn't he?
Oh no, because of course he does. He recognizes him from earlier that day, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Which is weird.
You're that man I've seen once in passing.
It's you, isn't it? It's you, man in mask earlier. I guess he must have seen him out of the sort of fumigation, whatever he was wearing.
Because apparently there's a scene in the very beginning after rewatching it. You can see like this big bald guy, quite built like the collector, from the back heading to the house at the very beginning, and the
I see
Arkham's watching on, so he clocks. He's one of them.
That's the collector.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's captured. Now he is, having seen how effective the fishing hooks were on him in that bathroom, the collector's gone, right, I see like a few more. And he's all hooked up in that chair. Captured. Hannah is like hiding under a tape. The collector's so shit at looking for kids. Captures everyone else. She's literally in the room under a little computer desk.
Where could she be? Well, earlier, Arkin hid under like some pillows on the bed. Do you remember that? He just got that's like literally that kind of hiding place I would have done when I was like 4 years old.
Under all the pillows, yeah.
I'm just gonna lie. I'm gonna put the duvet over me. I'm just gonna lie as flat as I can on the bed. That's a good one, actually. I like that one. Yeah. So what's next? Dog stuff.
So yeah.
Oh,
so
I remember now. The police
officer gets himself becomes a little bit the bad guy because he tries to keep the collector's attention by doing some slurs at him.
Oh yeah, he does.
He tries to do some slurs at him, but then
he rubs the collector the wrong way.
He rubs the collector the wrong way. She goes, but he like, I don't know what he does. He does something to him to cut. He like cuts him across the forehead, tweaks his nipples or honks his nose or something like that to really try and hurt him. But then the 911 call went through, so the police, just one policeman on his own terms. So we get. I remember
now.
Figure of authority turns up and he sees. Obviously, you see the collector walking out. I think I said to you and Luke at the time, I wouldn't have even said stuff. I'd have said, right, you're a wrong un, mate. I'm going to shoot you immediately. But, the police, that's why I'm not a policeman. So the collector comes out and he's like, got his hands out, but his dog comes out of the mists and has the policeman's throat out straight away. And that gives the collector an idea. He's like, I'll use this dog in this situation. Arkin's escaped from the hooks and he sends Hannah back up the laundry chute. Well, actually, no, he goes first and says, I'm going to pull you up with a blanket that's tied around you. The collector's dog comes down the stairs. The collector gets a shotgun out of the policeman's car, so he's even more effective. It manages to hoist Hannah up just before the dog comes. The dog knows exactly where they are. And then this moment of absolute madness in this film. So we can describe it as straightforwardly as I can. As the dog comes to try and get them in the room they've climbed up to, Arkin puts some toilet roll in the bin, sets it on fire, and then is somehow prepared that when he opens the door, the collector's dog, like Looney Tunes style, will run in and get the fiery bucket on his head, allowing him to pick up this dog and throw him at the collector. It's on-fire
dog as well, right? It's a big dog.
A big on-fire German Shepherd gets lozzed across the. Honestly, I think this could be the inspiration for that chair scene in *Malignant*, because he puts the collector's there waiting with a shotgun at the bottom of the stairs in case they come back up that way, going, "Oh, I'm gonna get you, me the collector," and then all of a sudden his own dog on fire is thrown at him, and he shotguns it in half.
It's not a good night for the collector, really, is it?
Yeah, the collector's had such a disturbed night. Oh, but while they were down in the basement, Arkin did see, hang on, you've covered the dead mom in bombs. You're gonna blow the house up.
Oh yeah. So he's had time to do that as well.
Yeah, so they're on the way.
He's very productive. He's very productive, this collector.
Yeah,
I'd say similar to you, Joe, of Kickstarter. Incredibly productive. You're spinning plates. He's got all these things going on. He knows what stage everything's at. Yeah, I reckon you watched this film and you went, "This gives me an idea."
I could do that, but in a less violent. I'll collect successful Kickstarters rather than people in boxes. Yeah. Do you always bring along the results of your last Kickstarter in a box inexplicably to your new one, to your next one?
Well, yeah, you do. With each new Kickstarter, you go, "This was the last one. It was also successful. Here's the comic. Great."
Those suitcases are probably freaking heavier than bodies, to be honest.
Yeah, paper stock can be quite heavy when it's
perfect bound.
Yeah.
So the collector gets trapped in his own trap now, right?
Yeah, this is when we've seen Chekhov's knife chandelier a couple of times. And in a fight with the collector, they do get that on him, and he does that horrible screaming again. They escape. They run out to the road. Having been, I would say, pretty smart and on it for the majority of the film. Obviously, not perfect. He's no Mary Sue like character. Arkin does take some licks on this one. But I feel he makes his biggest error in that as he's flagging down the police cars, he decides just to step out in front of one and get absolutely run over.
Stop! Smash. Gets absolutely flattened.
He gets flattened, and then he sees the collector sneaking up behind the little girl, and he's going to get her, but don't worry. That was just a hallucination. Hallucination he hasn't done for the rest of the film, but he's had one now. Yeah. Just to be worried about that the collector's going to get the little girl. That's not what happens. It's just a policeman who's coming to get her. And everything's all right. He goes off to...
So he's in the ambulance. He's telling the police that the collector was an exterminator working at the house earlier that day.
And the police are already on it. They're like, yep, absolutely. We know the exterminators that are working for him. We've got an address. We're on the way to collect the collector. Now you just go to hospital and have a little rest. He's saying to the paramedic in the back of the car, "What time is it?" Just before midnight. They've got all this done before midnight. It's like a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, I was probably confused by that. It feels like an all-nighter scenario, doesn't it?
I would have liked to seen him pull out the gem as well.
The what's it called? The paramedic doesn't he? He looks in his pocket and he goes, "Oh, what's this? Is this his car keys or something?" No,
it's my lucky gem.
it's a massive fist-sized gem.
It's my lucky gem. It's fine. It's just one of those things for good luck. Forget it. It's my personal. I feel
possession. like now I'm thinking of it. I am a little disappointed that the gem didn't come into something in this, because the collector's not going to expect it to have a huge crystal, is he? Could have bashed him with it and maybe shattered it into pieces, costing him the treasure, but I would bash the collector with it. So it's all coming to an end, but unfortunately for Arkin, the collector's.
Well, does we see the house explode first?
House explodes,
detonate. The house explodes. The collector, he's got away unharmed, because when he's getting taken to the hospital, how does the collector ambush the ambulance?
I don't know. An amazing GPS or just really good luck, as he's just driving home thinking, shit, I've had the worst thing ever. I've lost my bloke I already had collected. I need another one of those now. And then he must just see the ambulance and think, fuck it, I'm just going to smash into it.
Yeah, that's right. It's a pretty good shot, obviously, inside the ambulance of the sort of ambulance.
It's a good effect, isn't it? Because obviously Arkin is strapped to a stretcher, but you see the paramedic like go from side to side and up and down as the
He's trying to help him. He's like,
It rolls.
it's all right, mate. I got you. Holds on to him, carries him like a baby. Yeah.
The collector comes and chucks a knife in the paramedic's eye and finishes him off. And then we end with him collecting Arkin, puts him in a little box. On he goes.
Collects him in a box. Is there a post-credit scene?
There is, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't remember it. What happens in the post-credit?
Oh, I'm trying to remember.
I've got the description of it here. I was just
go on.
seeing if anyone.
I stopped it early because I was late.
It
I was ready
says-
for bed.
The collector watches film slides on the trunk containing Arkin. And it says who threatens to kill him. So I don't know if Arkin's the one threatening to kill.
Yeah,
or...
it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody kill you, the collector.
I'll bloody
It's
kill you.
Muffled from the box, yeah.
You wait till I get out of this box. You're in for it. The collector don't give a shit, does he?
And then he might get the collector kick on the box, I think. Like he got.
Yeah. Shut up. And then we get the
Sometimes he sits there.
moment.
Don't know why I bother collecting these people. More
They're
trouble
horrible
than there
to me.
were.
Yeah. Okay, so that is The Collector. That's a deep dive on the movie The Collector. We've got to play a little bit of the name game. Andy, have you got any?
Got some name game, yeah.
Got some. Joey, should we explain how this works? Or are you well aware?
Yeah.
So basically, we'll give you the synopsis for a movie that sounds very similar to The Collector, but it's not The Collector. And based on our clue, you need to come up with the title of the movie. It's going to rhyme with The Collector, essentially.
Yeah. All right. You
Andy?
got one to go first, then, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
What's the synopsis of the film then, and I'll see if I can work it into this.
Desperate to repay the debt to his ex-wife. Oh, is that true? It's the debt to his ex-wife. An ex-con plots a heist at a new employer's country home, unaware that a second criminal, a collector, has also targeted the property and rigged it with deadly traps. You can probably do an easier version of that.
Okay, so desperate to pay his wife back from a dangerous loan by some loan sharks, an ex-con breaks into a house to steal some treasures, unaware that another criminal holding on to the wheels of their bike as a safety mechanism has already broken in.
Holding on to the reflector.
The reflector, correct.
Oh, yeah, I used to love it. You ever get a reflector in a box of cornflakes?
Oh, yeah, awesome little Monster Munch spokes things. Very good.
I apologize for some of these because I'm not sure how these are going to work. Okay, so an ex-con breaks into a house to steal some stuff, but there's rigged with a series of deadly traps, including one that you can only escape by lining up 4 of the same colored little tokens, yellow or red.
The connector for
the connect fur. The connect fur. The connect for. The connect fur.
Okay.
I did apologize in advance for I'm sorry.
A criminal, an ex-con breaks into the house to steal some treasure to pay off a debt, only to find out that another criminal has already broken in. This one wearing some parody masks and doing sort of offbeat impressions of celebrities in a way that may not have aged that gracefully.
Okay, you've managed to link it back to this. I mean, I know it. Joey, do you know it?
It is bow selector, correct?
The bow selector. What do you mean?
Selector.
What do you mean it's not aged gracefully, Andy? What are you saying? It's absolutely classic, perfect comedy. I don't know about that.
I've seen a clip from the squirrel sketch today.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's how did he get away with that stuff? We were chucking it along, though, weren't we, Andy? We were still enjoying it.
Yeah, what a time! It definitely evokes memories of that being huge when I was just finishing school. It was definitely one that people were quoting at you in the playground the next day.
Okay. Next one. Desperate to repay his debt to his ex-wife and ex-con, plots a heist at his new employer's country home, unaware that the person who lives at this house has actually got long robot arms and a series of other weird gadgets that come out of his legs, ears, hat, coat.
The inspector gadget.
Yep. the inspector gadget. Yep. Correct. Well done, Andy.
You
get too good at this.
Hey, having this drive back from Harrogate today, thinking of things that rhyme with a collector. This is almost an opposite film to this one, in which the collector, he's at it, he's going about his business, trying to do these collecting things, but he's found that he's become way too picky, and anyone who's potentially on the slate for being collected, he always finds a reason to turn them down.
The Rejecter.
The Rejecter, very good.
Well done, Joey. I couldn't think of that one at all. Okay, desperate to repay his debt. I've got loads, but I'm just gonna. This is gonna be the last one because I've literally changed one more. I've changed one letter on some of them. I've got to stop doing that. Desperate to repay his debt to his ex-wife, an ex-con plots a heist based around his favorite trap, which sees somebody being pulleyed and flung into this thing covered in knives.
The Projector. Hello?
The projector.
The projector. That's the fella.
That's it. That's the one thing I remembered.
And the last thing I have for you today then is an ex-con breaks into a family's house to steal their treasure, only to find out another hero has already broken in, and he is very insistent that you have the utmost in manners and treat everything in that house as you would like your house to be treated.
The Respecter.
The Respecter. Very good.
There we go. I'd watch all those films, every single one. Awesome. So we have to now rate the movie, The Collector, A to F. Pluses and minuses are allowed. Rate good or rate bad. Joey, would you like to go first?
I give it C+. C+. Yeah. I actually like The Collector a little bit better. I think it's a bit more fun.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the follow-up really takes the formula and like expands it. You get to learn a little bit more about the collector himself as well. You get a little bit more of that personality. This is a good start though, and I think I appreciate it more having seen the second one.
Yeah, definitely.
So C+ from you, Ben.
Yeah, I might go a little bit lower just because I think in terms of the films we've been doing the last few weeks, they didn't sort of stick with me as well as the others. Probably a C-. I'm definitely keen to see the sequel now you've described it to me. It just felt like one of those films. I know it didn't need much of a plot, but it felt like there wasn't much of a plot going on, and it was kind of like meandering from one room to another. Like things were kind of happening, but like I didn't really get the. I think in terms of like a lead character as well, like I think we needed someone, because you know when you introduce a criminal who's trying to go straight and they've got a kid, you usually you have some sort of understanding about that character and you want them to succeed. But with this, I was a bit like, just put him in a box. Don't really care. So maybe that was
Wing Ben Errington strikes again.
Just get this guy in a box. What's that? Ex-criminal. He can't be reformed in a box. There we go. Did you just say right wing Ben Errington strikes again?
Yeah.
God.
I don't know when the first time he struck was, but you know.
Making a name for myself. Yeah, I'll go for a C- on this one. Andy?
I'm going to go smack in the middle of the two of you and go for a C. I think there's a lot of good ideas in this film. And for a Hollywood movie, you know, even by like these 2007 standards when it came out, 3 million, that's nothing. And I think they did a lot with 3 million. They made a decent return on it. Having talked about it, I think there is a lot of potential for it being part of a wider universe. And I think I am maybe coloring it a little bit with the expansion that you get on the collection. And we didn't talk about it as we went through, but Joey, you had the trivia on this one. Like, quite sad that they never got to make the third film, right? You said they were disrupted by COVID and then a lot of their equipment was stolen or lost.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Oh, what? No way.
Obviously, it was far into production, scripts done. They filmed parts of it. Don't know how much of it. But I seen photos from set, and it, all the actors were there and present, and it looked, looked legit. So it's a shame. It seemed like there was a bit of it's been marred by a bit of who stole from the set and things like that, and doesn't look like it's been rebooted for production. But I did hear about is it Mark Dunstan said, he's hopeful about it. One day, it's
I
just
hope they'll get to do
a
it.
funding thing.
Yeah, I hope they'll get sent around because I think this character has a lot of potential. I think in essence, it's a scary character. So yeah, I'd like to see more things happen with it.
Yeah,
he's in your house, and I just heard him. Okay, thanks so much for joining us, Joey. Where can our listeners keep up to speed with you or your new projects, everything like that?
Yeah, you can go on afterlightcomics.com. There's a newsletter on the website, or you can get all our comics, digital, physical, games and stuff as well. And yeah, we're all on social media as well: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. A lot. So you can follow them.
Amazing. We'll put
And
the links.
worth checking out. Always deliver.
Yeah. Thank you.
Most definitely. We will put the links to that in the show notes. Thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to our current patrons. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. All the links in the show notes, so follow those. Next week, we'll be covering another new release. It's Thanksgiving with Chris Mayo of Big Fat Cult. He's going to be joining us for that. If you listen to our Fright Fest episode, you may remember our interview of him then. So he's going to be on the show. Awesome. Thanks again, Joey. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Andy.
Be careful out there.
Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you both. Be careful out there. Don't get collected, whatever you do.
Yeah, check your house for traps, everybody. And if you do, don't grab the scissors for goodness sake.
See you later. Bye.
See you later, everybody. Bye.
Bye.